437-4991 for the fine art of dentistry.
Voted best in Fayette Auto Service and Tires, Tireman's Auto Garage is the place to go for used tires. Worried about your tires passing state inspection or winter driving? Tireman's Auto Garage has used tires, just $25 per tire, mounted and balanced to meet state inspection requirements. Whatever your tire needs, new or used, the cheapest prices and the best service are at Tireman's Auto Garage, with ACIMA leasing and SNAP financing available. Fully licensed and insured, Tireman's also offers tire recycling service. Top automotive specialists, Tireman's services include diagnostic service, alignments, oil changes, state inspections, batteries, brakes, rotors, and more. Driven by Tireman's Auto Garage lately? You've probably seen the 2, 4, and 6-seater golf carts that are for sale, with ACIMA leasing available, or ask Joe and Kim about rentals. Tireman's Auto Garage, Mill Street, with $25 used tire specials, new tires, golf carts, and more. Call 724-425-9606.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the voice of reason, Dave Dunaway. It's Thursday, January 15th, 2026, and you're listening to The Sports Voice. If you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm talking a real fan, like not just someone that puts on a jersey and gets a towel and takes it down to Heinz Field and randomly cheers for something you're not really even watching. If you're a legit fan, if you understand football, you know how it works, and you've been frustrated for the last several years, or maybe even the last decade, then I can assure you Tuesday was your Christmas. But as good of a feeling as you probably have right now, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with a lot of problems that still exist. It was a great day, I think, for fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I actually contemplated quitting the show because I don't know what else to talk. Tomlin's gone, Sullivan's gone, Fleury finally, I think, retired. I mean, everybody that was a target of mine has disappeared. So I guess I have to figure out a way to reinvent myself. I complained for years about how stale and stubborn Tomlin has been, doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm going to need to find something new and different. But not this week. There's a lot to talk about this week, negatively, toward the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was more than prepared after Monday night to just hammer the lackluster performance that took place yet again during a postseason game. But quite honestly, all of that is moot at this point because the architect of that is no longer around. So now it's more looking at the situation, looking at the future, and looking at who might just be gullible enough to take this head coaching job. Because I can assure you there were 9, now there are 8. John Harbaugh, former coach of the Ravens, has agreed in principle to become the next head coach of the New York Giants. Of the 8 that are left, the Pittsburgh Steelers job is the most undesirable of them all. And I know what you're going to say. That logo, that history, steeped in history. Every game's a home game. Just turn on TV. Well, that's all good and well and probably true, but that's not bringing better personnel out onto the football field. And unfortunately, especially on the offensive side of the ball, the cupboard is bare. And there's not a lot of leeway to figure out scenarios where it can replenish itself anytime soon, especially at the most important position in the National Football League, that being quarterback, where the Pittsburgh Steelers right now have nothing. I know I do not need to rehash the news from Tuesday. Mike Tomlin on his own announcing that he is stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of stories out there, a lot of rumors swirling around as to why. I've said for years he's got the thinnest skin in all of professional sports. He can't even take a question that somewhat contradicts anything that he does. He throws reporters out of his press conferences. He wants no negative press whatsoever. And I do believe, to an extent, the fans, especially as they became more vocal calling for his ouster, he just could not handle it. And I think in the end, the stress that came with that outweighed whatever he could say could potentially happen next year. You realize one more regular season win, and he passes Chuck Noll as the all-time leader in wins in franchise history for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I can assure you there is no comparison whatsoever between those two. There's nothing further apart than the coaching style of Chuck Noll, which at a time in the 60s and 70s was greatly needed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, produced 4 Super Bowl championships. Noll was tough. Noll was intelligent. Noll adapted. And then you have this fraud who's been there for the last 19 years, who did win a Super Bowl early. But if you start looking at the tenure, every year got worse. And as players started to leave and the new players were his, all of a sudden it wasn't quite so easy to get to those coveted positions in the postseason. 9 straight years without a playoff win. 6 straight postseason losses. For all the talk out there about never having a losing regular season, the postseason was a huge L, and Steeler fans had to shoulder that year after year after year. In the career of Mike Tomlin, there are only 4 total seasons where he actually won a playoff game. And believe it or not, there are people out there talking about this guy as a Hall of Famer. He's no Hall of Famer. I don't even think he's a fringe Hall of Famer. You have to look at the circumstance that surrounds it. You have to look at games that are important. I remember when the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base actually expected a Super Bowl run. Now everyone seems complacent with 9-8 or 10-7 because you've just come to believe that it's okay because it's what happens every year. Just like people get all excited at PNC Park when the Pirates get close to 500. Why is that a benchmark? In the end, I think we've cheapened a lot of what happens here in this area, either just to hold on like we do with the Penguins or just because we've lost hope with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I know the Steelers don't want to become the Pirates, and that's why the clown owner says he doesn't like to talk about words like rebuild, because apparently there's some other way you can win in the National Football League. The league is structured so that you have to draft and develop. And if you cannot do it, you will not win until you're able. The Steelers haven't been able to do it for over a decade, and they're paying the price for it year in and year out with the early exits, if they even make it to the postseason. Maybe the most embarrassing happened on Monday night. It wasn't even the defense when you look at all the points put up by Houston. Most of those points were given up by the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. You know, the side of the ball they could care less about. The offense was atrocious. They imploded. I don't think there was a chance from the time that game started of them ever having an opportunity to win. But I know people thought it was close. Oh, maybe something happens here, something happens there. All I heard leading up to the game, this is a game Tomlin wins. Tomlin doesn't lose on Monday night. All that tells me is it's not a good football team, because you can't give me any legitimate reason why you thought the Pittsburgh Steelers could have won that game. It was just a bunch of random stats and nonsense that normally gets spewed out, just like Tomlin does at a press conference, that literally gave no legit opportunity for the Pittsburgh Steelers to win that game. Was I surprised that they lost? No. If you listened to the show last week, not only was I the only one out of 7 who made picks that picked Houston, but I followed it up by saying Houston will win this game by double digits. There's not a doubt in my mind. And there was never a time in that game where there ever was a doubt that Houston was going to blow Pittsburgh off the field. Is Houston a Super Bowl team? I don't think so. They might be. When you look at what's left in the AFC, I guess there's a chance potentially they could represent the AFC there, but they totally outplayed the Pittsburgh Steelers and just like normal, outcoached them, which has become par for the course with this franchise. Any other coach on any other team would have been fired years ago. But for some reason, because of the longevity and because this clown has to do what dad and granddad did, we make sure that we keep someone there way too long and allow the franchise to just regress year after year after year. Kenny Pickett set the franchise back from what I hear a decade. Mike Tomlin has set them back further than that. And if he realized on his own it was time for him to step away because so many are out there giving him credit for doing this, why couldn't he have realized that last year? Did he really think? I mean, he didn't know at the end of last year that Aaron Rodgers was going to get no other offers and was going to come to Pittsburgh and maybe be the last best chance for Tomlin to make it to the playoffs and actually win there. He didn't know that last year. He could have stepped aside last year when you had legit coaching candidates that were out there available. I don't think you have that this year. We're going to go through some names. There are names that the Steelers have requested to interview, 3 new ones that came out today. There are rumors that are circulating around that say this guy may come here and that guy may come here. But I can't imagine there are any Steeler fans that were super excited about any of those names. Maybe last year with Ben Johnson, doubtful that he would have come to Pittsburgh because there really wasn't a lot here to come to. Maybe that would have sparked a little more excitement than what you're getting right now. But in the end, the reality is this. There's no reason for anybody to want to come here. If your goal is to be successful, I don't see a pathway in Pittsburgh, at least anytime soon, to make that happen. And as I've said with the clown owner, he's already talking about how he doesn't want to rebuild. Well, he doesn't want a 4-13 season either. So if you, for a couple of years, come and produce that, there's a good chance they're not going to care about 3 coaches in 60 years anymore. There's a good chance your tenure could end very quickly. So I think caution is going to be out there for any potential head coaching candidate because there's no quarterback. There's really no semblance of a run game. The offensive line is a mess. You looked at Troy Fontenot, their first-round pick last year, who everyone said was getting better. He was absolutely destroyed by Houston's pass rush. You've got no receivers. You've got one that can't hold on to the ball. The tight ends have been a disaster. And when you start looking at defense, they're old, they're expensive, and they're not really stopping anybody at the pace they should be for the price tag that's put on them. Plus, you've got an owner who's, with his black and gold shaded glasses, believing that this is still a team that can go to the playoffs and win there. So you're behind the 8 ball if you take this job because you know coming in you've got no chance. But the fan base is going to expect a team that goes out there and wins, and so is the ownership, who's as blinded as anything. So to take this job, I think, is a huge career risk, even for a young guy, because these young coordinators, whether they be offense or defense, they're going to want to come in and do their thing and put something innovative out there that's going to make them a name, a household name. And the Steelers just don't have the personnel to be able to make that work. Oh, yeah, you can come out and try to do some stuff. Aaron Rodgers came out and tried to do some stuff and had 3 guys benched because they couldn't understand the modified playbook that he was giving them as the de facto Steeler offensive coordinator. And we know Rodgers, not only does he demand that he calls his own plays, but he doesn't like motion. He doesn't like any of this new stuff. So what he's throwing out there to these guys last year was basic, and they couldn't figure that out. So the personnel is a major issue on this team. I can't imagine one of these top candidates saying, I'll go to Pittsburgh over a team like Vegas. The Raiders have the first pick in the draft. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana. I think he's a franchise quarterback, probably going to win the national championship here on Monday. You've got Brock Bowers. You've got Ashton Genty. You've got Max Crosby. You can go down all these teams. Atlanta. I think Atlanta's a desirable job. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, a decent defense coming along. Maybe you can somehow mentor Michael Penix and turn him into an NFL quarterback. Plus, they're negotiating with Cousins, so you'll have a couple of options there. Arizona's intriguing. There's some young talent with McBride and Harrison. You're in position to draft a quarterback this year as well if you're going to move on from Kyler Murray. Baltimore's loaded with Pro Bowlers. I mean, you start looking through these teams. Even Tennessee has the first overall pick from last year's draft, who, by the way, is a quarterback, Cam Ward. And when you look at Chicago and what Ben Johnson did with Caleb Williams, it at least gives you hope. There is no hope in Pittsburgh. There's no hope that there's anything there that you can turn into a playoff team, especially a team that can win there. If you do somehow manage to go 9-8 and sneak in, what's the reality that you're actually going to get a win? They haven't had a win in 9 seasons in the postseason with a coach they've anointed as a Hall of Famer. If you're not going to win with him, who's basically got everybody there to drink the Kool-Aid, how are you possibly going to do it with a young coach who you know the veterans are going to take advantage of from day one? How do you possibly think that there's going to be any control with all of these veterans? To me, it's a no-win situation, and I think the only way you take this job is if you're someone who's been around the block, like a Brian Flores or a Vance Joseph, or there are just no other options, and you're 100% determined that you want to be a head coach this year. Because outside of that, I'm taking one of the other 8, because without that, you're basically going to be lost in the shuffle. There is no path to win. And when you have an owner as clueless as what the Pittsburgh Steelers have right now, thinking that this is still a playoff team, you've got no shot to keep your job beyond 2 years, because there you got no shot to make the playoffs in that period of time as well. Nick Barczyk is here with me. Nick, this is a day that I'm sure everyone is rejoicing. You've seen thousands and thousands of people, whether they be at the game screaming for it or on social media screaming for it or just talking with their friends about it. People that know football, and there are a lot of Steeler fans that know football. They realized a long time ago that this is a no-win situation. This guy has gotten worse as the years have gone on, and the chances of doing anything productive have diminished so greatly that there is no hope. Next year probably would have been the same. The Roonies will never fire. We know they weren't going to fire him, but he stepped down on his own for whatever reason. Honestly, who cares? I think it's a great day for the franchise of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they also have to be realistic. I'm not even going to say they have to get the head coach right. They have to realize at the top, and I know they're clowns, father and son, both clowns, but they have to realize this is not a franchise that is going to be a Super Bowl contender, that is going to be a playoff winner, that probably is even going to be a playoff team. They have to realize what they have, make the most of it, get some exposure for some of these younger players, figure out how to draft and develop, and see if maybe within the next few years you can turn it back into something that the people who worship this logo can be proud of.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, certainly a lot to touch on, and it had run its course, and it was what it was. It was a decent run, and yes, again, a lot of franchises would have loved Mike Tomlin and would love that tenure that he had, and would love to have him now. Not that he's going to coach.
Hey, trade for him.
Yeah, trade for him. I think a lot of teams would like to have him, and thank him for his service and wish him the best and his family. But on the football field. It's run its course, and he's just one part of the issue. He was not the main issue, and the main issue is, as we talk about with the baseball team in town, the ownership, and the Pirates don't have outdated ownership. They have lackadaisical, I don't care at all ownership, which is really offensive. The Steelers, I think they do care. They have ownership that just... Not that they don't know what they're doing, Mr. Rooney, but he's stuck in his ways, just like Coach Tomlin was. He wants to win the way Daddy and Granddaddy won, and that's what they're going to do, Dave. They're going to do what they did with the Noel Cowher and Tomlin hires, which were right at the time. They're going to get a young, up-and-coming coach on the wrong side of the ball. I already don't like who they're interviewing. They're going to get a defensive guy. When the whole league is pivoting to offense, when you need offense, you need a smart, young offensive mind, They're going to try to get, I think, a smart young guy, but it's going to be on defense. They're interviewing Hafley and Minter and all these defensive guys. It's just they're already starting off on the wrong foot. Why even accept Tomlin's resignation if you're going to get another defensive coach? What's the point?
I'm fine with it
I'm
to
not.
an extent. And
not.
well, hear me
Sorry.
out on it, because it doesn't matter who the head coach is unless it's Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin micromanaged that entire team.
Sure.
Mike Tomlin not only called plays on defense, but basically dictated the style of offense. I think, you look at a guy like Mike Vrabel in New England. Vrabel realized, even though he's defensive, that offense is important and he needs to keep his hands out of it.
Right.
So he brought Josh McDaniels in to handle that.
He's a world-class OC. Not many of those out there, Dave.
No, but what we need to see, and I don't think you're going to get world class, you're not going to get a name, but if it is a defensive head coach, you need someone who realizes, okay, I don't know what I'm doing on offense. I'm going to bring in a young up-and-coming guy, someone who's trying to get a head coaching job, someone right now that's a quarterback coach somewhere or whatever, and I'm going to put them in charge of this offense, and I'm going to let them take it and run with it and see if we can bring it into the 21st century. It might work, it might not work, but I'm not that opposed to not having the offensive head coach. I just want whoever's in there as offensive coordinator to be able to do the job that they want to do, which Mike Tomlin never let anybody do. He had good ones like Arians. He had bad ones like the last couple years with Smith in Canada. But regardless, no one can convince me that every guy that came in said, let's run this crap offense. He dictated what that offense had to look like. They were forced to turn a quarterback into a game manager. I'll take the young mind. I'll take the analytics. They brought a Best Buy employee into Miami, and he actually made Tua look decent for a couple of years. Didn't last, but it happened for a couple of years. If you can get somebody that you just allow to just run with it, and they modernize this offense, I'm fine if it's a defensive coach as long as they keep their hands out of the offense.
Yeah, right. And 4 of the 8 left are defensive coaches, but they have really good OCs, and yet they let them do their job. Right. And yeah, you look at D'Amico Ryans, who I think is a young up-and-coming coach. He's on the defensive side of the ball, and he lets the offense do the job. Same with Vrabel. Same with Mike McDonald, who has Clint Kubiak, who I would pursue, who maybe or maybe not wants the Steeler job, but I think he wants to be a head coach. I think they need a analytics guy, not an analytics guy, but a guy who has, like, Tomlin was termed a culture guy. That's what Harbaugh is, by the way. I wouldn't have hired him if I were the Giants. I think Harbaugh and Tomlin are the same person, over the hill and overrated. But whatever, good luck to the Giants. Not that I care. But Jackson Dart, good luck. But what they need is someone who has a specialty on one side of the ball. Tomlin was termed as a culture guy, a motivator, a man, and that's all well and good, and that was fine at the beginning, but it wore off. If you go after even a guy like a Marcus Freeman, who I don't think is coming to Pittsburgh or leaving Notre Dame,
I don't think he'll leave Notre
I think
Dame.
he is seen as a guy who is a motivator and a culture guy over a guy who has an expertise on one side of the ball. I would like them to bring in a guy, even if it is a defensive guy, that's not termed a motivator, who is an expertise guy on one side of the ball. I think that's what the Steelers need. A Ben Johnson, a Sean McVay, a guy who can lead a locker room, but also really knows what they're doing on a side of the ball. I prefer it be offense, but see what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Chicago inquired with the Clown last year and tried to trade for Mike Tomlin,
Yeah.
and they told him no, and then they ended up with Ben Johnson.
Right.
I mean, you start looking back at things. When I looked at the Steelers won 10 games this year. 5 of those wins were against teams who fired their coach at the end of the year. And then throw in
Yeah,
Cincinnati with Taylor, who's on the hot seat, and the Jets with Aaron Glenn, who I can't believe still has a job.
wow.
There's 7 of the 10 wins right there. They've only beaten one playoff team, and in all fairness, New England beat themselves in that game.
Right.
And everybody knows it, whether you want to admit it or not. When I look at the tenure, especially the end of this tenure, it has set the Steelers back maybe a decade. And you can't just blame Kenny Pickett. Tomlin drafted Pickett. Tomlin had last say on every personnel move that was made from probably the time he lost the Super Bowl to Green Bay. He took over all of it.
Right.
And people are trying to tell me, Kevin Colbert had no idea. Mike Tomlin had final say on everything. The players that are on that team right now are players that he wanted, players that he chose. He wanted Slay. He wanted Ramsey. He wanted Rodgers. And maybe there were times where some of these guys showed signs. But in the end, it all comes down to, if you want to win in the NFL today, you have to draft and develop. The only way you're going to get good young players is through the draft. Right. You don't get anybody through free agency, because if they're good, teams lock them up especially a quarterback. And they're in a situation right now where you're going to try to bring in a coach. You're going to try to lure them. And I agree with you. If I was picking, I would say Clint Kubiak number one. There is no way he's coming to Pittsburgh with no quarterback. That's where you are. You do not have the personnel to lure anyone offensive to come to this team.
Right.
I don't even think Stefanski would come here. Well, they're not like they're going to give him an interview. I heard he's going to Baltimore. But you're never, the only one you're going to get is defense, because the only thing you have is to hope that they somehow live in nostalgia and say, oh, there's TJ Watt, and there's Cam Hayward, and there's Highsmith, and there's Porter, and there's Ramsey. Oh, yeah, we have a chance to do something with this defense. Offensive guys aren't dumb enough to fall for that. They realize if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win. But maybe one of these young up-and-coming defensive guys, maybe they'll come for the sheer intrigue of all of these veterans, and they don't realize they're just over the hill and overpriced at this point in their career.
Yeah, they're most likely going to get the young up-and-comer on defense, a coordinator. It's probably going to be Chris Shula or someone of that
I don't
ilk.
think it's going to be Chris Shula. I think Shula's the number one, and I think Shula's probably going to end up, it's cliche, but I bet he ends up in Miami because, Grandpap was their coach.
The
And,
league would love that.
but I can't imagine there's
They
a
don't have
way they get
quarterback
Chris
either.
Shula.
So,
I think you
wouldn't
can
take
win.
that job.
Well,
you're not winning Super Bowls with two or getting a playoff games.
I don't know if they'll even have that. They might trade Tua.
They might trade him. And there's a way for the Steelers to have a quarterback next year. Yeah, you could go get Malik Willis, or maybe you get a Ty Simpson in the draft. I would reach to get him because why not? But this is what Mr. Rooney will. I'll show some respect. This is what Mr. Rooney won't do. He won't say, let's play Will Howard and Mason Rudolph and win 3-4 games. They won't do that. That's what I would do so you could get maybe Arch Manning, who I'm not overly impressed with, but I think he's better than anyone in this draft that's not named Mendoza.
Well, in
Could
all
you draft
fairness,
Simpson this year? Yeah, but I
If
don't
you draft
see it.
Ty Simpson, you're going to win 3-4 games.
Exactly. And that's what they need. But then in year two, if he's still not good, then you got to keep drafting a quarterback. So
Honestly, I think that when you try to set whatever it is that you're going to set out there to the fans, you're already starting to talk about, okay, I hear your frustration and we're moving on. We're going to bring in somebody different. They're going to bring in a name most people don't know. We know they're going to go cheap. They always go cheap. They got the cheapest coaching staff in the league, the least amount of people on it. You bring in a number one first-round pick quarterback. You don't even get him a quarterback coach. We know how cheap they are. So the head coach is going to be cheap. It was never going to be Harbaugh, who's going to get, $20 million or something from the Giants to take that job.
don't get
It was
that.
never going to be anybody like that.
I
So
don't
it's
want
going to be
Harbaugh anyway, but-
No, well, but I'm just saying it was always going to be somebody cheap.
Yeah.
That's the way they do it. So how do you sell the fans on this? Well, they've been calling for Will Howard all year. You know he's not good. I know he's not good, but I don't think all the fans know that. I think they look at the Ohio State National Championship. Let's give this guy a chance. Give him a chance. Why waste a pick on a guy like Ty Simpson? If your quarterback of the future isn't here this year, there are holes all over this team. Go and fill them with bring in a receiver in the first round. You're going to need more linemen because the ones you have are garbage. Maybe get a running back somewhere along the way if you're not sold on Caleb Johnson. Get another corner to play on the other side of Porter. Get a safety that can actually play safety and not center field. Get what you need this year and let Rudolph, let those guys play. There's nobody on the scrap heap you're going to bring in. You're not winning with Malik Willis. You're not winning with Kirk Cousins. You don't have enough personnel around them.
well, don't bring in Kirk Cousins.
Well, I'm just saying, you're not winning with any of those guys.
Yeah, he's your future. I
right,
know what you meant.
but he doesn't think. The clown
They
doesn't
wanna win
think
8-9 games
he
every
thinks
year.
they're going to win this year.
But he's
So
petrified
wouldn't
of a
surprise
3-4
me.
win season. He's petrified of it. He thinks like his grandfather will visit him at night.
Well, he doesn't want the fans to turn on him like they have on the Pirates. He
Right.
doesn't want to be the Pirates. That's the one thing the Roonies have going for them. They're embarrassed when they lose. Nutting could care
He
less.
doesn't care.
Nutting just laughs and counts his money.
Right.
These guys are embarrassed, and it's the only business they have.
Right.
There's no ski resort and newspaper to funnel into this.
To ruin, yeah.
So, right, it's just this with a board of Roonies that hate them. Hate both of them. Hate father and hate son because they're morons and everybody knows it. So this is it. This is what you have. This is your legacy. Yeah, they don't want to be the team. They don't want to be the owners on their watch where the team's 3-14 or 4-13. I get it, but if you want to be the owners that are still there when the next Super Bowl is won, then you have to do it because until you find that guy, and you don't know where you're going to find him. There were 2 quarterbacks taken before Drake May. Caleb Williams, who's still around, And Jaden Daniels, who I always thought was fragile. I think he's good. I just think he's frail.
Yeah, you're right. On
And
both
New England
counts, yeah.
found May.
Yeah.
They had a coach in there, and this might happen to Pittsburgh. They might hire somebody that's not the right fit. But I'll give New England credit. You say what you want about Bob Kraft. He fired Belichick when he knew it was done. And then he brought in Gerard Mayo and realized
Fired
in a
him.
year, this isn't the guy, and fired him too. That's what needs to happen, especially if you're able to find a quarterback that you think is the future. Then you go get your coach who's going to mold that guy and actually turn the franchise back into a winner. Because right now, they're about as far away from that as you can imagine. And I don't know if who they hire because there's not a lot of big names out. I don't think the talent pool is that good this year. Whoever they bring in might not be the right guy. Oh, you might need more than like 4 coaches in 70 years. They might have to make another change there until they figure out what's best for this system. And Tomlin's still on the books, apparently,
Yeah.
right? Team would have to trade to get him.
He's not coaching. I don't think ever. Again.
No, I would assume he
next
goes
year.
to TV, but
Yeah.
who knows? A team could dangle a ton of money out there to him
could.
and say, "Hey,
They could.
yeah, we want Coach T. We want that
Yeah.
culture and that standard and
Sure.
everything that he's sort of sold." That
Yeah, and he could work other places, but it just wasn't working here. And again, I wish him well, and it was fine. It was fun while it lasted, but yeah, they had to move on. And I'll give him credit for actually leaving. I think he jumped and wasn't pushed. I think Mr. Rooney was going to bring him back. But Coach Tomlin said, you know what? No, this isn't working. I'm not a great coach anymore, even a good one here, at least, and I'm leaving. So I'll give him credit. He did what Mr. Rooney wouldn't do. So,
well, if you're a Steeler fan, what you should hope now is he goes somewhere else, and a lot of these overpriced veterans beg to go with him because that might be the only way you get them motivated enough to either request a trade or approve a trade, or I don't know how you'll find it. Well, I know how you'll find a team dumb enough to take him. They just make Tomlin the GM and head coach, and he'll go and get every one of them.
I think the only way Rodgers plays next year is if Tomlin coaches elsewhere. He would follow him. I think that's the only way. He's definitely not coming back to Pittsburgh.
Well, he'll
Nor
never
should they
come back
have
to
him
Pittsburgh because a young offensive coordinator and a young coach is not going to let him call plays.
No.
Remember, he demanded in New York that he was going to call plays. Saleh told him no. He got Saleh fired.
Yeah.
So that's the only way he would come back.
And he's going to get a job. Could be the Steeler job. Again, I think he's a very good coordinator. I wouldn't bring him in as a head coach, Saleh, but they might. They might.
I saw him projected to go to Vegas.
Well, there you go. Oh, I think, well, Mendoza's going to go there, so hopefully they get a good OC. I think McDaniel's a good OC candidate. I don't think he's a head coach. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, a good path for them because they're going to go with the young DC candidate, but you better nail the OC and let the defensive coach better let whoever that is do his job. But again, it all comes down to getting a quarterback, and that's probably not going to happen this year. So, yeah, you're going to have a 3-4 win year to get that great quarterback next year.
We'll see if they can actually stomach having to do that.
No, but we don't do rebuilds around here.
We don't even say that word.
You heard our two.
We don't like that word.
No.
We don't say it.
How about a bridge year? The Pirates said that one.
Oh,
year.
they've had many of those. They've
a
had
lot.
bridge decades.
And by the way, the Steelers will never be the Pirates. I mean, you can make fun of them all they want because they want to win.
Right.
They may be incompetent. They want to win.
They don't want to give that appearance that they're the Pirates. That's what they're nervous
the
about.
Pirates ownership is offensive.
Right. They don't want people to look at them like they look at the Pirates saying, hey, they're not trying to win. They put a team out there that's only capable of winning 3 games. Even if it's just for 1 year, they don't want that. And that's why they'll never, I won't say never. That's why it'll be a long time until you see this team competing for a Super Bowl.
The Pirates may be a joke. At least they have Paul Skeens. What young talent do the Steelers have?
None that I can see right now.
I mean, I don't know. Harmon, Sawyer,
Porter,
not Caleb Johnson.
No one on offense.
Last year's draft was a stinker, it looks like.
Looks like it.
Well, Harmon is okay. But
He'll be fine. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the rumors swirling around, who might be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but more importantly, who might be the next head coach of the other 7 teams that are still waiting because they're all going to get hired before Pittsburgh hires. So we'll look at that, look at Pittsburgh, look at who they've requested interviews with, and try to figure out which one might be gullible enough to think they can actually win here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Zen's Antiques and Home Decor, part of the Cinder Shack family of vendors, where you can find both antique and new furniture, collectibles, housewares, gift items, including jewelry and candles, and so much more. Follow Zen's Antiques and Home Decor on Facebook for new items and information on upcoming events. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor in Building 2 at 3391 National Pike in Farmington. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor.
Okay, my New Year's resolution was to listen to my body, and my body says it's tired, coughing, and hates January.
Sounds like your body wants MontyMed same-day care.
I tried ignoring it. That was resolution number 2.
Let me guess, you Googled it?
Yeah, now I'm scared.
Let's not do that. I'm Kendall Soliero, a provider at Montgomery Medical. Walk in, get real answers, and start feeling better. No appointment needed.
Wow, a resolution I can actually keep.
New year, same germs. Walk into Montgomery Medical today.
Ready to score big on your next home? Well, great news. Huge savings are waiting for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. From open floor plans perfect for game day parties to energy efficient homes that will help you save money all season long, these homes are built to deliver. Don't wait on the sidelines. Make the winning play today and find the home that fits your family and lifestyle. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon at 4500 Route 51.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Feeling lucky? Your next big jackpot is waiting for you. Visit the casino at Nemacolin in Farmington, PA for the ultimate casino experience featuring the hottest table games, daily promotions, big-time giveaways, and an exciting variety of premium slots. And after, celebrate your big win with a juicy burger at the Royale while you watch the big game. Hotel packages available. Visit CasinoNemacolin.com for more information. The Casino at Nemacolin. Game on! Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Route 21 Furniture. Take the road to your perfect home.
Sleep well tonight. Try out a new mattress from Route 21 Furniture with a large selection of mattresses, all sizes and comfort levels, with great prices, free local delivery and setup, and financing options. Route 21 Furniture. Open weekdays 9 to 5, Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday noon to 4. 724-737-2222 or Route21Furniture.com.
Route 21 Furniture. Take the road to your perfect home.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience, with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today. Welcome back to the Sports Voice. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers vacant head coaching position. I never thought I would say that while I was still on the air. I thought I'd be dead before Tomlin resigned as Steeler coach. We knew he was never going to get fired.
There are more popes than Steeler coaches.
I figured he had at least another 20 years in him there.
Yeah.
But he does step down, surprising. We definitely surprised the players.
Can't give him credit. Art wouldn't do it.
You got those stories from the locker room, Watt crying and Porter barely able to breathe. And yeah, they were shocked. Yeah. And I think so were all of us.
Yeah.
It was reported earlier in the day there was a possibility that was going to happen, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, his ego is just too big. Luckily, his skin is so thin that he couldn't handle all the criticism coming his way, and he decided to step down instead of facing more of the wrath of the Pittsburgh Steelers faithful, who a bunch stuck around, even though it was a 36 final, to scream and yell, fire him, just like they did at Penn State. How about both of those guys who you thought were institutions and were there forever, both being removed in the same year? That's great. I mean, I know a bunch of people that love Penn State that also love the Steelers. And I would laugh at them because I'd have to deal with it on Saturday, but not Sunday. And they were just so frustrated with just having to watch Penn State and that mentality there, and then watching the Steelers, similar coaching style, similar results when a game mattered. So yeah, it's a big moment, I think, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you also have to look, okay, what do we do now? What comes next? What is the move that's going to fix all of this? And you start looking at what now the Steelers are trying to do as they move forward. Okay, they've requested interviews. Every other team has requested interviews from these same guys. The 3 new ones today, Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator from Green Bay, which, by the way, that might be the last guy on my list because I remember him as the head coach of Boston College, and he was horrible.
Well,
so
hard to win there, Dave. Give him a break.
Whatever. If you're that good...
I don't want him either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're that good, you should be able to win in college. If you can't win in college, why would you even expect? And he's the one, if you were paying any attention to Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback from Florida State, he was throwing a fit. He wanted an extra year exemption because he said when he was a freshman at Boston College, under Hafley, he had to play in the bowl game because the other quarterbacks there all refused to play. That's the leadership of Jeff Hafley. So he's one of them. And honestly, I thought Green Bay's defense underachieved this year greatly based on the money they funnel into that. Very similar to Pittsburgh.
Well, they blew the playoff game against the Bears.
They did, with 10 minutes left.
LaFleur did his own matter, but yeah,
right.
He'll get extended.
Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator for Carolina, that's an interesting name. 45, he's young, up-and-comer. I don't think this is the year for him to be a head coach, though, but I think it's coming. I like that Carolina team. I like Dave Canales. I've said that. Maybe the worst team to ever get in the playoffs and almost beat the Rams as a result of it.
They're limited with Bryce Young, though, but yeah, they're doing a fine job.
Maybe that's a guy they get because he'll be left when the other 7 make their hires. And then the guy I said all along, Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, I like him. I know he's on the wrong side of the ball, but I have faith and confidence that he realizes at 42 years old, I don't understand offense, and I'm going to bring in someone that does. I don't know who he brings with him. Maybe there's a quarterback coach in L.A. that will come with him. We keep talking about the passing coordinator for the Rams that we think Chris Shula is going to take with him, who the Steelers have also requested an interview with. Maybe Minter brings somebody. The Chargers, I think, are well-run. Harbaugh's a smart coach.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are smart assistants there as well. But those are the 3, all defensive guys, no surprise. I honestly, though, I can't imagine. We can yell and complain about Kubiak and Stefanski. I don't think if you're offensive, you want to come to Pittsburgh. I don't think there's a chance you even say, I'll take the interview.
Yeah, but then you're left where you were the last 19 years. So
you can't force them. You can't fool them because you got nothing.
Yeah, and that's their problem. And that problem is a Tomlin problem, but it extends beyond him. They should have done a better job at making that a more offensive suited organization, however you want to term it. But yeah, I think when one coach leaves, I think it's best to go in the complete opposite direction. When they hired Tomlin, he was a defensive coordinator that was never a head coach. So I think, hey, try to go after a guy who's already been a head coach who's on the offensive side of the ball, and Stefanski fits that. But again, I'm not sure if he wants to come here. But they're going to do what they've always done, a young up-and-comer defensive guy. So good luck to him. I hope it works out.
Because they don't want to pay.
Right.
As I look at the teams, Arizona, I think Kubiak's going there. And I think they're going to keep Kyler Murray. I think that that was always the talk. Will Murray go?
Ship sailed, but whatever.
Tomlin may have traded for Kyler Murray had he still been the head coach of the Steelers, but I think they keep him. I think they one more year out of it. You see what you got with an offensive mind in there. I would not be shocked. Honestly, I think Jonathan Gannon should come to Pittsburgh as the defensive coordinator for whoever becomes the head coach. Atlanta, I think Atlanta's going to go Hafley. I just do. I think they were trying to get Harbaugh. He ends up going to the Giants. I think Hafley goes to Atlanta because the defense is atrocious, and they think that's who's going to fix it. I think Stefanski goes to Baltimore. I think they're smart enough to realize this guy won in the division with a really bad Cleveland team. Pittsburgh can't realize that, and they don't want to pay for it. So I think he goes there. I think Mike McDaniel ends up in Cleveland. I think Best Buy gives him a day off to go do the interview. And I think that Cleveland likes the analytics. They need the analytics. They've got young, not real talented players. I think he's a good fit there.
Mike McDaniel and Shadur Sanders. That'd be a fun watch. I don't think they're going to win much, but...
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
I think Robert Saleh ends up in Vegas. I think that they want a veteran. They want a defensive guy, something to satisfy Crosby. I think with Mendoza, he's not going to yell and scream at Saleh because he won't let him call his own plays.
Then they got to nail the OC then.
They got to nail the OC.
Defensive coach, yeah.
Right. Well, if Saleh comes over, now think about it. The other Kubiak is in San Francisco. He's the whatever passing coordinator, something. The younger Kubiak.
How about the part owner become OC? Tom Brady.
I was hoping he'd come back and play quarterback.
Leave the booth. He might. How about a quarterback competition in training camp? Mendoza versus Brady. Oh my God, how much fun!
I think Chris Shula ends up in Miami just because
Granddaddy was there.
And honestly, in Tennessee, I would not be shocked if it's not Brian Flores there.
Might be.
So I think you start looking at that, and then whatever's left ends up in Pittsburgh.
Isn't he still suing the league, though? Do you think a team will hire him? Will Goodell let someone hire him?
Well, he's the defensive coordinator of the Vikings.
That's true, but head coach is different. I don't know. I guess they can do what they want, yeah.
They said he's tough. A lot of players don't. He rubs guys the wrong way, though. He's got that Patriot Belichick mentality to him.
Yeah.
So,
Vance Joseph could come to Pittsburgh. That wouldn't shock me.
It's hard to talk about the Steelers now because I think the other 7 have to fall, and then we'll see what's left and who they get off the scrap heap in Pittsburgh. That's all the time we have for the first hour of the Sports Voice. I'm sure we'll talk Steelers in hour 2 as well. We haven't really even talked about the game and what went wrong there, plus free agency, Penguins, Pirates. We'll see if they almost signed anybody this week. Don't go anywhere. Sports Voice is coming right back.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991 for the fine art of dentistry.
Kuiper, President Trump is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy troops to stop ongoing protests against ICE officers in Minneapolis, where CBS's Lana Zak is.
When I spoke with protesters about whether the president's actions or the actions by the federal government will have a chilling effect on their actions, they said all of this just continues to embolden them.
3 U.S. officials tell CBS News that an ICE officer shot a Venezuelan national in the leg last night in North Minneapolis after the officer was allegedly attacked by men with a shovel and broom handle. Minnesota ACLU Executive Director Sing Mayal has announced a class action lawsuit against the federal government for constitutional rights violations, saying that what is happening affects everyone.
The rights to be free of unlawful search and seizure and to be free from warrantless arrests and racial profiling.
There has been an intense diplomatic effort in the Gulf region to avoid U.S. strikes on Iran because of protests there. That approach is not sitting well with some of President Trump's allies in Washington. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
A Gulf official says Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, and Egypt have been involved in intensive diplomacy and have been urging the U.S. to refrain from strikes on Iran. That approach angers Senator Lindsey Graham.
After President Trump empowered people to feel like their freedom was at hand, that you actually believe we should wind this down and you're okay with the regime standing after all this, I don't want to be aligned with you.
The White House is still insisting all options remain on the table for the president.
An investigation into a sprawling betting scheme to rig NCAA and Chinese Basketball Association games has ensnared 26 people, including more than a dozen college basketball players. U.S. Attorney David Metcalf.
The defendants would identify a game in which a corrupted player had a team that was favored to lose, and then they would bribe said player to deliberately underperform so that his team would lose by more than they were favored to. They would bet for them to not cover the point spread.
The allegations cover a period between September 2022 and February 2025. President Trump in an online video unveils his framework for a health care plan that he calls the Great Health Care Plan to possibly replace the Affordable Care Act.
My plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the cost.
By, he says, cutting prescription drug prices, reducing insurance premiums, and holding insurance companies accountable. He's calling on Congress to immediately pass the framework. Stocks closed up on Wall Street today. The Dow jumped 293 points. The Nasdaq rose 58. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS News Roundup on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Take the fact book
Caring for an aging parent or a loved one with medical needs? FACT, Fayette Area Coordinated Transportation, can help. Seniors 65 and older ride free on our fixed routes. People with disabilities get discounted shared rides. And if your loved one has medical assistance, their trips to doctors or treatment are covered under the shared ride program. Give them safe, reliable independence and yourself peace of mind. Call 724-628-RIDE or visit factbus.com. FACT, your community, your connection.
It's a new day at WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital, and we're bringing a new level of quality healthcare to our community. From primary care to specialty services, our team has always put patients first. And now, thanks to our merger with WVU Medicine, our commitment to patient-centered care has grown even stronger. With new resources, a growing staff, and advanced technology, our team is here to provide you with top-quality care when it matters most. Discover the new Uniontown Hospital and see how we've grown.
More parents are opting to skip vaccinations for their children for reasons that are not medical. CBS's Michael George.
A study published in JAMA found the states with the highest rates of non-medical vaccine exemptions are Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Researchers say the trend could lead to resurgences of illnesses in children that are easily preventable with vaccines. The United States is currently dealing with significant measles outbreaks in Utah and South Carolina.
About 24 Buddhist monks are making a 2,300-mile trek from Texas to Washington, D.C. in a walk for peace. Their journey started in October and is scheduled to end at the White House in February. People traveled for miles to Charlotte, North Carolina to see the monks pass through, including South Carolina resident Jasmine Serta.
It fills our hearts to see how many people are showing up and showing support, even though many people have never heard of a monk or seen monks before.
Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
Good evening, your local station WMBS. It is 5:05. And we are looking at 18 degrees outside of our Davis & Davis studios. We'll get to the weather in just a bit. I'm Nick Barczyk. The Fayette County Commissioners have held their first business meeting of 2026. A technical proposal and engineering agreement for the Nyland Bridge section of the Sheepskin Trail was unanimously approved by the Fayette County Commissioners at their business meeting Thursday. Commissioners Scott Dunn, Vince Vasides, and Harry Kaufman agreed to enter into the agreement. The agreement number for the project is ECMS L1003 for the Nyland Bridge on the Sheepskin Trail. Commissioner Dunn with details on the agreement.
So when the CSX abandoned that property, they took out all the bridges that were along Nyland Road, and so this is a replacement of that bridge, and that's why there is an additional cost for this section. Gibson Thomas is working on the engineering, and this is a part of the PennDOT agreement to make sure that everything's up to code. And as a reminder, this section of the trail is fully funded by grant. Even the match is funded by grant. So, we're moving forward with the trail.
Also approved at Thursday's meeting was McClure Company to perform a feasibility study as part of a guaranteed energy savings performance contract under a Pennsylvania procurement code to do some capital improvement needs and upgrades and energy-saving upgrades at the Gallatin building. There's no cost to Fayette County and also no obligation to proceed with any project unless approved by the Fayette County Commissioners, and the final agreement is subject to a legal review. Commissioner Vasides with more on that.
We got that at no cost to the county, get some expertise on options that we would have for the building. The building has served us well since we acquired it for $0 and used grant money to upgrade it. And we have a much better county government office, better work environment for our employees.
The Commissioners also approved an extension of an agreement with Zelenkovsky Axelrod LLC for audit services for the 2025 fiscal year for $80,000 for the county and also $15,000 for Fayette Area Coordinated Transportation. FACT, Commissioner Kaufman with more on that.
We're just finishing up on the 2024 one at this point. We felt that they had pretty good understanding of our county government and what has gone on in the past with their audits, and so we wanted to keep some continuity. and we stuck with them at this point. And they gave us a pretty good price.
The three commissioners also ratified a proposal from Ford Office Technologies for professional services for county ADA site compliance setup and updates at an annual rate of just over $2,120. The commissioners also recognized at the beginning of the meeting January as Human Trafficking Prevention Month and touted the Human Trafficking Task Force in Fayette County. And they said it was an issue. Representatives from that task force saying it's an issue both in Fayette County and statewide that needs to be addressed. Nick Barczyk, WMBS. More next on WMBS.
Hey everyone, this is Josh Krysak here letting you know that it's not too late to purchase a shed, carport, or building due to the cold weather that's upon us. Ron from Ultimate Structures will explain.
Here at Ultimate Structures, we go full-time, year-round to service our customers. Don't let the cold weather discourage you from purchasing the storage building for your needs. Our manufacturers and installation crews keep chugging through the cold weather. There may be minor delays due to snow and ice, but you can be assured every attempt will be made to get your building up and ready to protect your valuables.
That is great news to hear, Ron. Our listeners can still purchase a shed, carport, garage, or building to fit their needs.
Customers can call me anytime to discuss their needs at 724-557-3281. That's 724-557-3281. We can sit down and design what you desire. Come out to our mega lot to view models to fulfill your dreams. We are Ultimate Structures, satisfying Fayette County customers since 2007.
In sports, we have high school basketball tonight. CR Parada Group High School Sports Night. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame is on the air this evening. That'll begin just after the news at 6 and the game at 7. West Green at Geibel. Girls action tonight with Brian Morozak and Tony Hanola tonight on WMBS. The Penguins are in action tonight hosting the Flyers. And we will bring you that game after the high school basketball wraps up tomorrow night. Another CR Parada Group High School Sports Night. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame at 6:15. Games at 7. Boys action. All Fayette County game. Albert Gallatin at Uniontown. That's video only. Radio coverage of Laurel Highlands and McKeesport with video on YouTube on WMBS. And we'll bring you the playoffs this weekend. Bills Broncos Saturday and the Texans at Patriots Rams Bears on Sunday. And by the way, that Rams-Bears game could be one of the coldest ever. They're expecting some snow and temperatures well into the negatives for that game in Chicago.
The local district and statewide news was brought to you by Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis on Route 51 southbound. Call them today at 724-415-0020 to find the shed, cabin, or metal building that meets your needs.
This weather report being brought to you by Montgomery Medical. Trust their 50 years of combined experience for the best results in primary care, newborns to elderly, minor illness or injury, as well as wellness and physical exams. And now the weather.
And the weather, it is a very cold day on this winter Thursday, the 15th of January. Right now we're in the teens at 17, overnight low down to 14. 37 Friday, low 34, a bit warmer tomorrow, 37 Saturday, but then the lows get down to 18 Saturday night, 25 the high Sunday, low 18, 22 Monday, the low at 4 degrees Monday night, Tuesday at 17, and back up to 40 Wednesday, but again into the single digits Monday night. 17 right now at 5:10, and good evening, I'm Nick Barczyk. The Stock Report, then more of the Afternoon Drive Show with Doug Saltzman. Make that Dave Dunaway on WMBS.
This weather report was brought to you by Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine. Same-day appointments available for acute care. Call 724-569-8100 or visit montibed.com to schedule your appointment.
Good evening. This is Chris Felicki of Jana Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 292.8 points, closing at 49,442. The NASDAQ Composite was up 58.3 points, closing at 23,530. And the S&P 500 Index was up 17.9 points, closing at 6,944. Among companies of local interest, Apple, $258.21, down $1.75. Amazon, $238.18, up $1.53. Cisco, $75.25, up 84 cents. Boeing, $247.71, up $5.10. Caterpillar, $647.15, up $8.40. Disney, $113.44, down 8 cents. ExxonMobil, $129.10, down $1.10. First Energy, $46.58, up 43 cents. Johnson & Johnson, $219.68, up $1.13. Home Depot, $379.15, up $3.20. Intel, $48.31, down 42 cents. McDonald's, $308.60, up 47 cents. Meta Platforms, $620.80, up $5.28. PNC Financial Services, $215.09, up $2.76. Raytheon Technologies, $199.83, up 99 cents. Rockwell Automation, $421.08, up $3.87. Tesla, $438.57, down 63 cents. Verizon, $39.37, down 46 cents. Walmart, $119.20, down 84 cents. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 292.8 points, closing at 49,442. The Nasdaq Composite was up 58.3 points, closing at 23,530. And the S&P 500 Index was up 17.9 points, closing at 6,944. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC, where we serve all your investment needs, this is Chris Foley.
Looking for a fireplace? Koval Building Supply at 40 Monroe Avenue in Uniontown is more than your plumbing supply store. We specialize in fireplaces of all fuel types, such as gas, wood, pellet, and electric. We're now featuring Harmon pellet stoves from Forge and Flame, perfect for keeping your family warm and cozy. Call Koval today at 724-437-8824 or visit kovalsupply.com to start planning for the winter season. Koval Building Supply, everything you need to make your house feel like home.
Well, JJ, you know what they say?
You mean Happy New Year?
Nope, they say New Year, New Ears.
I honestly never heard anyone say that, ever.
Well, at Henry & Stewart Audiology, they are focused on helping their communities hear and live better, so New Year, New Ears.
I am pretty sure Dad is writing these commercials.
Also true.
Remember, in Uniontown, Carmichaels, and Connellsville, Henry & Stewart Audiology is here to help you hear the new year. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Contact us at 724-439-4380 today.
Tune in to WMBS Saturday mornings at 8:20 for Your Financial Future with Gary Boatman, certified financial planner, investment advisory representative, syndicated columnist, and author, as he addresses such income issues as planning for retirement, future health care expenses, avoiding financial pitfalls, and much more. That's Your Financial Future with Gary Boatman, Saturday mornings at 8:20 right here on WMBS, where Gary Boatman welcomes your calls at 724-243-3075. That's 724-243-3075.
Oak Pizza in downtown Uniontown is your one-stop shop for the most unique pizzas in the region. From the masterminds behind the Fat Angelo's franchise, Oak Pizza is the laboratory where the Fat Angelo's food scientists test their creations and let you be the judge. With traditional favorites like pepperoni and buffalo chicken pizzas to more experimental offerings like the sesame seed-infused Mad Pie or the spicy chicken pickle pizza, Oak has you covered. Order today at oakpizzas.com or by calling 724-439-5805. Your taste buds will thank you.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Welcome to part 2 of the Sports Voice. Ahead on this hour, well, of course, more football. How could I forget? I spent the whole first hour talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then I just realized the good teams are still left. The playoffs are still going on. We'll take a look back at Wild Card Weekend and look ahead to the divisional round this Saturday and Sunday. I love how we call something Wild Card Weekend and there's a game on Monday. So at least this is just the weekend. But there is a game on Monday. That's the national championship for college football. Maybe a big surprise here with Miami. That's a fun one because they weren't supposed to even make it. And here they are playing for the national championship against probably the best team in college football all year, Indiana. We will talk about that, break it down, and oh yeah, by the way, we're picking that. That's one of the games that we'll be picking this week, in addition to the 4 NFL. Winding down, the trophies getting polished off and almost ready to be delivered to the winner. which looks like it's going to be Josh Kryzik Esquire. Nick's putting up a fight, though. We'll see whether or not he can hopefully pull this thing off. But not many games left. Brian Morozek is my best chance right now to get out of last place.
I was going to say, never mind the top of the standings. Who's down there at the bottom?
Hey, I picked up a game on him. I was 3-3. I had looked like a genius for a little while with Green Bay, and then, of course, they blew the game with 10 minutes left.
Dave, you can't finish last. It's your show and your idea for the picks. You can't finish last,
At least there was a game. Normally there's a game where I pick differently and I lose. At least there was one that I did win. That was the Pittsburgh Steelers-Houston Texan game. I was the only one with Houston. I won New England as well. I won the last 3, I think, on the card. But in the end, yeah, I'm still there. But I'm only one behind Brian. So getting closer to that coveted next to last place. No one remembers if you're next to last place. If you're in last place, they remember.
And by the way, for me to catch up to Josh Attorney at Law, I think we have to start picking random NBA games. I got to catch up somehow.
Oh, maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
How about WNBA? Can we pick those? Or are they in season yet?
Season,
I knew they're still in the off season.
Yeah. We'll start betting Laker games. LeBron, Luka, and LeBron Jr.
Oh, we could do that, yeah.
Yeah, JJ Redick.
How many waters does Bronny get for the real players throughout the game? Like over-under stuff or whatever.
And everyone wants LeBron to retire. The guy had 35 the other night.
I saw that.
He's amazing. Yeah. Him and Sidney Crosby do not age.
No. And Crosby looks great, but the Penguins back to struggling a little bit again. And I don't think this is a big surprise. We'll talk a little bit about the game tonight. They're at home against Philly. Philly's coming in. They're stumbling in. I think they've lost 5 in a row or something like that. So this is a game maybe the Penguins can find a way to win. Even if they play good in regulation, they can't win in a shootout. Shelov's has got to be the worst goaltender I've ever seen in a shootout. And they've got a lot of veterans in. They've got injuries. So we'll talk a little bit about the Penguins during this hour as well. In addition to that, we'll look to see whether or not the Pirates almost signed anybody this week. I know they didn't actually sign anyone this week, so you never know. They get close in some of these situations. Talk about Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. There are still names that are out and about. So, yeah, I'm sure the Pirates are going to get at least one, maybe two of those guys. But I can't imagine they would be satisfied with where they are. And, of course, more fallout from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We really didn't even talk about the game much at all Monday night. An embarrassing loss to Houston. This is, the 4th or 5th straight playoff loss by double digits that they've had. So you can't talk much about it. And that's kind of what I said. I was all ready and prepared to just lambaste them for that performance. But when the architect of that performance leaves, it's hard to continue to dwell on that. So it's more now about the coaching change, the possibility of who's going to be in next, and whether or not the franchise can maybe get back to some semblance of what everyone still believes that they are, this aura of the logo, the black and gold, the never play a road game. They're not there. They haven't been there for quite some time. Can they get back there? Well, we'll wait and see what happens with the coach, the assistant coaches, and the personnel on that field, because there's a lot that needs to change for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get into that position. The Pittsburgh Penguins in action tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. This is a big game for the Penguins, probably a bigger game than what most people expect. The Flyers are struggling. Actually, the Penguins have caught them in the standings. Right now, both teams tied at 52 points. There's some internal issue, I think, within the Flyers, within the coaching, within Mikov, who's their best player, probably. Maybe Zegras is their best player now. Big surprise if it is, because I don't really think that's what Philadelphia anticipated when they traded for him. But the Penguins, they're kind of stale. They've kind of hit a rut. You get Malkin back, but you start shuffling the lines. Like, there are some things that happened over the last couple of games that I just look at and I'm baffled by. Kevin Hayes back in the lineup for a little bit. He was back out finally on Tuesday because Brian Rust, who was out, is now back again. The Penguins are just juggling a lot of things. Erik Karlsson is out. That might be a big loss for the Pittsburgh Penguins, not knowing exactly how long that's going to be. And you look at the goaltending situation, and you bring in Stuart Skinner, who I think has maybe looked better than expected. You've still got Shilovs there, who people are clamoring to get rid of so that Murashov can come up here. And I think that's the problem. I don't think Shilovs is that bad. I think it's just that anticipation that Penguin fans have of the future that just isn't coming. And that's a problem, because this is a team that if they make the playoffs, they're not going to win when they get there. You look at where they are right now in the Metro, they're in 4th place, tied with Philadelphia with 52 points, but it's close. There are a lot of teams right around, whether above or below. And I think when you look at the conference, you look at where they are, I think the worst case scenario for the Penguins is you don't make the playoffs. You're trying to get one more playoff run. I get it, with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang together. The chances of Malkin coming back next year, probably slim and none. You never know with Letang. Honestly, you never know with Crosby, whether or not he's going to just say, I'm done. So you hope that he'll be back next year, but you try to get that one last playoff push. Worst case scenario, you're the last team out. You're that first team that just doesn't make it. You get a terrible draft pick. You're not really putting yourself into position to better whatever you are right now. You're not getting the young guys up. So another year of them toiling away in Wilkes-Barre, not getting NHL experience. We've seen Koivunen come up and struggle. McGroarty struggled a little bit. He's on IR right now. Kindle started out really hot, has cooled off considerably as the season has gone on. And most of it is because of these veterans that are out there. They did re-sign Blake Lizotte this week. I'm fine with that. But the other two have to go. Like, you can have a Blake Lizotte on the 4th line. You can't have Lizotte, Dewar, and Ashari. And I know Muse thinks that's the greatest line in the history of hockey. But in reality, Atlee Calvert and Avery Hayes could play that 4th line with Lizotte. You can have one. You should not have all three. Tristan Brose needs to be up. Koivunen needs to come back. You're not going anywhere. And I get it. You look, 52 points. That's how overinflated the overtime loss is. And the Penguins have more of those than anyone. If you look at the standings, they're really 21-24, but they're 21-14-10 because they can't win in overtime and they can't win in a shootout. They get there, but it doesn't matter. And when you look at the last few games, they scored 1 goal, they scored 0 goals, they scored 1 goal, 2 goals in 3 games. It's not going to get it done. And yeah, the goaltending has looked better. Skinner's looked good. Shilovs has looked good. But in the end, it's got to be the complete package. You can't make mistakes here, and they've made mistake after mistake. Something's got to give. You can't be streaky. You can't have a big winning streak and a big losing streak, because in the end, it puts you at 500, and 500's not making the playoffs, and 500's not getting you Gavin McKenna or any of the other top 6 potential. This is a good draft. Like, if there's a draft you want to pick in the top 5, it's this one. You might not get McKenna, but you'll get another projected NHL star somewhere along the way. And I have a feeling the year they need to be drafting in that position more so than any other is the year they're going to be the furthest away from it. And that's a problem. If you make the playoffs, not a big deal. You get that extra revenue for the series, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And I don't think they're going to get a good draft pick. Mm-hmm. I think it's just going to set them back one more year, and you're going to go into next year behind schedule of where you could have been.
So basically the Penguins right now are the Steelers, except they've won championships more recently.
The only thing with the Penguins is you're not locked into over-the-hill, overpaid guys for very long. Malkin might be done at the end of the year.
They have hung on to the past a little too long, though, right? I mean, Crosby notwithstanding.
It's so hard. Here's what so the NHL, we've talked about this time and time again, the gate is so important. Yes. You just can't make money. The revenue isn't there. And look, in the last, 5 or 6 years, they've sold the team now twice. Yeah. So to be able to make money and as an ownership group not make money and then try to pass it off like you are and get someone else to come in and buy it, you almost have to keep these stars. It's the only real chip that you have to be able to sell this team.
And how has attendance been this season?
Terrible.
Has it? You would know
terrible.
More than me.
Tuesday night was horrible. It was probably half full. Ooh. And you played Tampa, with Vasilevsky. I mean, you look at the Kucherov.
I guess all the Pittsburghers spend their money on the Steeler games the last few months. So, yeah, maybe it'll, now that football's over in Pittsburgh, maybe it'll clear up. Or
well, the timing was bad because Monday night football and then Tuesday night hockey. But
nothing else to do, and they're not going to Pitt basketball, I don't think.
I wouldn't if I were them. I can't imagine a reason why. Yeah, I mean, it's just the attendance is bad. You're not bringing in the revenue. The only hope you have is to milk these three as long as you want.
Yeah.
But I think the fan base has gotten tired of it because they're not winning enough to justify it. So, yeah, you've got these guys, and you can add Carlson into the mix, and they're NHL superstars. They're household names, recognizable faces. But in the end, if they're not bringing in the revenue, what's the point? Remember back in 2015-16, you had these young players who were able to associate with the young fan base. You had that college rush or student rush, whatever it was called.
Right.
They're out there. Rust and Gensel are out there with pizza. I mean, that's what you need. But you can't send Malkin and Letang out there with pizza. You need the young faces to match up that are on the same par of the fan base coming in. You've got to attract the younger fans. And quite honestly, they're just not doing it. Tickets are expensive. You can't really take a family there.
Yeah.
It's out of the price range, and you're not bringing in enough people to justify what you're trying to put out there on the ice.
And for hockey specifically, it's a weeknight cold weather league. They play a lot of games on Tuesday and Thursday nights. It's cold. People don't want to get out of the house. So in January and February, you better win or people are not going to show up. They're watching on TV or listen to it on WMBS. But yeah, to get people to the games in a cold weather weeknight league, you better win. And they're not winning enough.
But then you also want to get on national TV because once football is over, then you've got Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. But if you don't have the stars, you're not on national TV.
No.
So, I mean, it's tough. Like, I don't know the answer to this. I know why they've held on to these guys. I think it's delayed any hope of the franchise being legitimately competitive again. But the fan base still finds hope because these guys have been there and done that. They've won Stanley Cups. You look at them and hope it's 10 years ago and they can somehow find a way. But you can't stack a bunch of veterans around them. If you want to keep a couple of these stars, then you've got to start to infuse young players. I don't think Crosby will be upset by young guys. I think he enjoys young, fast, capable players that are willing to learn from him. I'm not sure where Malkin and Letang ring in on that, but I thought Letang befriended Pickering. Of course, he's nowhere to be found now. He's back down at Wilkes-Barre. Malkin liked playing with the two towers. I mean, Brazeau's not an old guy. So I think that it's possible, but they need to figure it out. They need to figure it out quick. Are you trying to make the playoffs, or are you going to try to see what you might have for the future? Because right now they're in a no man's land that's not going to do either. You're not going to set yourself up to better the team, and you're not going to set yourself up to make the playoffs. They can't finish. I don't know what the answer people are talking about. Well, can't you just replace Shilovs if you make a shootout? Skinner's not much better. We've seen them both. So I don't think the answer is right there. I think that if you go with Murashov, you kind of admit that, okay, we're rebuilding, and then you've got to move some other players and bring some of these young guys up. But you need to decide. You need to go all in one way or the other. You're either all in on trying to make the playoffs one last time, or you're all in on starting this rebuild. You know, the Rooneys don't like to hear that word, but I don't think Kyle Dubas minds it much because I think he sees the future that can come with that. But you've got to make some sort of decision. They're not making any decision, and I think in the end it's going to hurt them in the long run.
And how do you like Dan Muse overall?
There are times he looks lost.
Is he different than Sullivan, though, his style?
Muse was brought in to sort of teach the young players. There aren't young players on this roster. So I think he's lost in the shuffle with these veterans who aren't going to listen to him.
Yeah.
He needs to have you brought in the wrong coach. I know what they wanted to do. Then they come out early, they win games, and everyone thinks, oh, maybe we can still make the playoffs. It totally changed the entire plan that was in play coming into the season, and now they're in a no man's land. Yeah. You have the wrong coach for this team. And I think you have the wrong philosophy for this team because I think we're overreaching. This is not a team that can win in the playoffs.
Uh-oh.
But they still think they can somehow, some way. Crosby, I still say is the best player in hockey. I could care less about all these younger names. What he's able to do at his age, none of them will be even probably on the ice when they're that age.
Yeah.
That's just how great of a player he is. But he can't carry them on his back at 38 years old.
And you typically prefer younger players, but Crosby's the outlier because he's so darn good.
Oh, I look at Brady for those two are so similar to each other.
Right.
You never look at them and think they're old. That's the thing. You look at Malkin and you're like, oh yeah, he's lost a step. You look at Letang, like you look at these guys and the age has caught up with them.
Rodgers a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, a little bit. But with Crosby and Brady, never did. It never caught up with them. They were still able to execute and win well into their 30s. I mean, Brady did it to his mid-40s.
Right.
So I don't know how long we're going to see that with Crosby. But he could be, I think, Gordie Howe was out there at 50.
Yeah.
Crosby could be out there at 50, not just getting a ceremonial sweater because of the name. I think he could be out there still competitive. Yager's still competitive into his 50s.
Some athletes are great into their mid-40s, and then some athletes are Phillip Rivers in their mid-40s. Nice try, Phil. Nice try.
Yager was a well-conditioned athlete.
Yes.
The Penguins moved on from him because they didn't have any money. They couldn't pay him. They couldn't afford him.
He keeps playing. He loves it so much, knowing it's going to prolong his induction to the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's because he owns the team, and the team will fold if he doesn't play. Like they can't make bank if he doesn't play, and he knows that. So that's more nostalgia because he's in his home country.
Right.
But I give Yager all the credit in the world for doing what he does. I give Crosby, like these guys, they do what they have to do. They're not lazy. They work hard and they reap the rewards of it. I just don't think the supporting cast of the Penguins can do what they were able to do a decade ago.
Right.
It's just they don't have the youth and speed. I preached that for years when Bilesma was there, before they made the coaching changes, before they brought the youth and speed up, when Sullivan actually trusted him because he coached them at Wilkes. Until they did that, they didn't win.
Right.
And there was a lot of disappointment, and I think we've seen that since. Until they get younger players up here that they're going to trust and put out there, like Kindle on the first power play. Like until they do that, they're going to be right here in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's going to look like the Steelers. It's going to be very reminiscent of what we've seen.
Yeah. Carlson's out. I saw Lazard they extended. Do you like him?
I like him, but I don't want the other two back. Like I'm fine with one. You can't have three guys out there. And Lazard, I think, can make something happen. He can score. I can't believe they gave him 3 years. That's surprising. But he's not that old. No. But you can't keep putting Ashari and Dewar out there with him. Bring a couple young guys up from Wilkes and put them out there. Not like Koivunen and Bros. I'm talking Calvert and Hayes, guys that are made for that type of line, and see if you can't get a little spark and a little offense from someone just a little bit quicker and maybe just a little more physical. Yeah. Murashov needs to come up.
Yes, that's a name that
you're not doing what needs to be done now. How much worse could it be with Murashov?
Yeah, bring him up, and you have a few more home games here tonight. The Flyers, always nice to beat them, and no shame in losing to Tampa. They're a Stanley Cup team. They look really good.
Right, you got to beat the Flyers. You've lost 3 in a row. You got to beat the Flyers.
Yeah. Heck, if the Steelers beat the Ravens twice this season, Penguins got to beat the Flyers. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's an all-time low right there, especially since they're tied in the standings. So if the Flyers beat them, then they move up ahead. How about last place, the Rangers?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
what
Sullivan not quite working out the way he had hoped.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, not the personnel there to play that ridiculous system.
No.
He could do that when he had the young, fast 2015-16 Penguins out there doing it.
Right.
He's not going to do that with these older guys with the range. I can't see JT Miller skating circles around anybody at this point in his career. So, yeah, it's a rough, kind of a rude awakening for Mike Sullivan.
How about Sullivan resign and Tomlin and Sullivan go on tour? Both former Pittsburgh coaches, Mike and Mike. They can talk about the old times when they used to be good coaches. It'll be great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's I don't know if Tomlin can remember back that far. It's been a while.
You'd buy a ticket to see them too.
It's been a while since he's been a good coach. Yeah. Oh, I probably would, especially if you could heckle.
Yeah.
Although Tomlin couldn't handle he has such thin skin. He would walk out. He'd walk off the stage if people started to boo. So you wouldn't see that there. Sullivan would just scream right back at you.
Yeah, well, that'd be fun.
It would be. I think it would be entertaining and interesting.
Maybe Derek Shelton can join them.
Sullivan, Franklin, Tomlin, Fleury, like they're all gone the same year.
Yeah.
Like that's some weeks that's my whole show.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did contemplate retirement myself here, stepping away, resigning.
But you have to do what Coach T couldn't, adapt and grow. And
I have to adapt and grow. Yeah, well, there's never a shortage for doing that when Pirate season hits.
Always stuff to
as soon as March hits, well, you're good to go for a few months.
They signed Ryan O'Hearn. They'll be fine.
Yes. Well, I thought it was Dave Kingman at first.
Well, he hit a lot of home runs, right? Also struck out a bunch.
And hit under 200. That's what Ryan O'Hearn's going to do.
Well, if you hit 40 homers, I'll take the strikeouts of the hitting 200, but they're not going to hit 40.
Yeah, but of the 30, let's say O'Hearn hits 32 home runs, I'll bet 20 of them are solo shots.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I don't know anything with the Pirates this week. I don't even look.
I'm going to say it every week. 3 words to describe the 2026 Pittsburgh Pirates. Poor Paul Skeens. I mean, what else do you say? And the pitching rotation is not going to be awful, besides for him. I mean, they have some. Keller, is Jones coming back?
I keep hearing he is. I thought he was out 2 years.
Yeah.
So I keep hearing that there's a chance he'll be back.
Yeah.
Barco, they're high on him coming up. Ashcraft is still there.
Any young talent in the lineup, the everyday lineup?
Connor Griffin.
Oh, that's right.
Well, they keep teasing it. I can't believe it. Not before June, of course.
No.
But they keep teasing that he'll be up there. Josh Nixon Garcia, the big trade acquisition from Boston.
Password, alphabet
He's
soup.
projected, yes, the password. He's projected to be up there. Esmerlin Valdez, I guess, has a chance
I'm gonna
to
love
make the
it.
roster.
You have some young guys, but you have some old timers like O'Neal Cruz. I love watching him try to play baseball.
But in the end, we know when opening day hits, those guys will be in the minors. And there'll be Jack Sawinski up there.
Oh, Captain Jack.
And O'Neal Cruz and all the usual, Jared Triolo, all the usual suspects will be right there coming out of the tunnel at PNC Park.
Good luck, Manager Kelly.
Yes, can't wait to see it. But yeah, there's nothing really big that I saw this week. I mean, the Mets offered huge money to Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
We'll see whether or not he takes it.
Arenado to Arizona.
Yeah, for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona took all the money.
Get him
That's
out
why.
of the NL Central. He's a great player, but a little past his prime.
Well,
right?
I'm surprised because Arizona's not a big market team, but they took all the money to not have to give up any of their young prospect talent.
They've been in 2 World Series since the Pirates last had a winning season. So
that is, well, the Pirates were the 2025 version of Arizona. No, they weren't because Arizona made the World Series the year before.
They did.
Maybe they're the 2026 version.
That's right.
Of Arizona. We'll
Any
have to wait
Corbin
and see.
Carroll's in that lineup? I don't see it.
By the way, what's the chances that Major League Baseball plays out this year? There's a strike.
Yeah.
They lose the entire 2027 season, come back in 28 with a salary cap, and Paul Skeens is pretty much forced to stay with the Pirates because they can offer him more than anybody else.
That's the Pirates' only hope that there's no baseball next season, 27.
Will they vote for a salary cap just hoping that they can keep Skeens, or will they vote against it like they always do, saying, we can spend a whole lot less money if there's no cap?
Yes, I'm sure Mr. Nutting's like, well, the fans seem to love Paul Skeens, but they also love fireworks and bobbleheads. Come on, Zambelli. Another 5 dates this summer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey,
People
there's
will
a
show up.
big college football game Monday night, the national championship. And we'll talk a little bit about picks because when we come back to do the NFL again, we have to go through our 4 picks of the week there. But we'll actually, normally we do the Steelers first. We'll actually do college football prior to the NFL. And this is going to be interesting, especially for Nick Barczyk over here, because he picked a little differently than everyone else. And that worked out for me last week with the Steelers. I cannot say I disagree with him either. I made my pick because I felt like I had to make it the way that I made it. But a bit of a surprise here, not in Indiana. Maybe that's a surprise. Although they were the 1 seed, Ohio State was the 2. A lot of people, myself included, believed even though Indiana beat Ohio State in the regular season, Ohio State was still the odds-on favorites to win the national championship. But they get upset big time by a team that most people didn't even think would be here, a team that did not win a really bad ACC. The team that actually won the ACC didn't get in, spit in the face of everything the committee said when they created this playoff system, because the ACC was one of the original 5 power conferences. They make you play a championship game to determine who wins the conference. Duke wins that game and doesn't make it. And then Notre Dame throws a huge fit because they felt they deserved to be in, and probably did over teams like James Madison and Tulane, who got now grandfathered in with this 5 conference thing because their 2 conferences became 2 of the 5 power conferences. One of them, I believe, was the Sun Belt. Notre Dame doesn't get in, throws a fit, doesn't play a bowl game, doesn't do anything. And who sneaks in as a result? Miami. And Miami not only knock off Ohio State, Miami's still here. On Monday night, Miami will play Indiana for the national championship. Indiana 8.5-point favorites. Nick Barczyk picked Miami. Explain that to us. I know you love the ACC because you're a huge Pitt fan and you go down there all the time. But what made you take Miami in this game?
Just to be different, just to be cool. No, Fernando Mendoza, Curt Cignetti, all those great players on Indiana. The new Alabama, by the way, they're going to dominate the next few years. And another reason why Coach Kurt's not coming to Pittsburgh. Sorry, Yinzers.
Well, there's a better chance to win in Indiana than there is in Pittsburgh.
And frankly, he's a little old. No offense, sir, but he is. Miami's tough. They're physical. They hit really hard. Carson Beck, he made some good throws in the Ole Miss game. I'm sure I'm going to regret this, and Mr. Mendoza will make me eat my words, but I think Miami keeps it close. Come on, Indiana. Only win by a touchdown.
Well, you could tell I'm a professional. I actually called Fernando Mendoza Francisco earlier in the whatever segment I was doing in that first hour. Takes a while. I work all day. I come here and I got to try to decompress and get out of one mode and get into another mode. But I've been high on Indiana all year. I can't pick against them, and I don't necessarily think this is a slam dunk. I think Miami, when they knocked off Ohio State, showed that they could compete with literally anyone. Carson Beck was on 2 national championship teams in Georgia. He didn't play, but he was there. He was on the roster. He witnessed it. He watched it. You know, a guy like Stetson Bennett can come and win a national championship. So that goes to show, what this is all about. But I think that, taking a look at Miami, a team that had a lot to prove, they were angry. They felt that they should have been a shoo-in for this, not down to the wire. Mario Cristobal, he blew some games, and that's why he was where he was, but here they are. I mean, if anything, that's a huge slap in the face to the SEC, who thinks they're the best conference in the world, and they've got nothing to show for this national championship game. But the Big Ten, I think, was the best conference this year. I think you look at the 2 perennial teams that had a shot at this legitimately, both from the Big Ten. Indiana's still there. I like Miami. I would not be shocked if Miami wins this game. I definitely wouldn't be shocked if they keep it within 8.5 points. But in the end, I feel like because of everything I said, I have to take Indiana in this. They are a solid team. They are stacked. Mendoza's the best player in college football. He might not be the huge name that Arch Manning is, but he was a clear-cut, deserved to win the Heisman Trophy, deserves to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
He's better than Arch.
He's better than Arch.
And you better learn his name, because when we do the draft show live in Pittsburgh, he'll be there with the first pick.
Oh, that's right. We might get to interview him. What if I call him Francisco during the... Will he even notice?
He's such a nice guy. And the Steelers will definitely have the new coach by then. We can interview that guy.
I would hope so. I would hope they do a better job than Penn State in making sure that they have a coach when it's time to start bringing players in.
So we'll have Mendoza on the show. We'll have probably Jesse Minner on the show. It'll be great.
Yeah, Brian Flores, the new defensive coordinator. Terrell Austin. Austin will probably still be there.
Probably.
Everybody else... Well, Danny Smith will still be there.
I want the Best Buy guy to be the OC. Come on, don't go to Cleveland. They're terrible.
I don't think they'll pay for, that's not going to come cheap. They're going to pay some young nobody to come in and be the OC. I just hope they understand offense, and whoever the head coach is lets them do whatever it is they want to do here, because that didn't happen in 19 years.
No.
So just ask Bruce Arians, who retired but then was coaching the very next year.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know. So, but in the end, that's our first pick. 6 of us take Indiana. Nick takes Miami. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be back with the other 4. Yes, it's divisional round playoffs in the National Football League. We'll take a look at what happened during the wild card weekend, and then we will make our 4. Boy, this is nice. There's not 17 of them. There's 4 games that we have to pick. We will do that when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
For professional cleaning services, Clean and Shine in New Stanton is the place for you. They provide commercial and residential cleaning, porter services, carpet cleaning, stripping and waxing, construction cleanups, and car cleaning. For free estimates, call 724-691-0413, email info@cleanandshine14.org, or visit their website, cleanandshine14.org. We clean so you can shine.
Hey, you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle? Well, look no more. Cause with over 200 vehicles, Gary's Auto Sales is the largest used car dealer in the area. Whether you want a car, a truck, or an SUV, you'll absolutely find what you're looking for at Gary's. Gary's has been in business since 1974. You can visit them online at Gary'sAutoSales.com, or you can give them a call at 724-626-8080. Gary's Auto Sales. Many miles, many smiles.
Pizza King's in Connellsville is your go-to lunch and dinner spot with a full menu of mouth-watering pizzas and so much more. Using a deck oven helps our pizzas stay extra crisp, so if you haven't tried a slice lately, what are you waiting for? From our 50-slice King Carnivore to veggie pizzas and even pickle pizzas, Pizza King has the pie to match your taste. Pizza King's, 1046 Morrell Avenue in Connellsville. Call 724-626-8343 or visit pizzakingswithaz.com.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 to 4:30 and Saturdays 8 to 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Braggs a call today, 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
You may have noticed a new internet company knocking at your door with claims like, "I'm not here to sell you anything," or "I wouldn't lie to you." The truth is, Armstrong has played an important role in your community for decades, and we're not going anywhere. That new internet provider will probably change their name, get bought out by another company, or fold completely. Armstrong, the internet you count on, the people you trust. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com today, or anytime in the future.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. Back to the National Football League. Of course, we've been rehashing the NFL pretty much the entire show. I don't think there was a segment that didn't have a Tomlin or Steeler comment that was made. But this is big. I mean, if you're, like I said, if you're a real legit Steeler fan, Tuesday was your Christmas. I mean, this is the opportunity for the franchise to move forward. Don't know if they will, but it's an opportunity. So now you wait and see what gifts you receive as far as the coaching and possibly the draft or free agency. But the personnel needs to upgrade greatly if you want to compete with any of these teams that are still left. The 8 teams that are still around, they are head and shoulders above the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Whether it's a team that maybe is a couple years ahead of the curve, like New England or Chicago, a team that is, maybe loaded with some veterans, but still hanging around like the Rams. Even the Seattle Seahawks, a little bit of a surprise. The Texans are a defense-dominated team. The 49ers have just an injury-riddled club, but yet they continue to win because they have a genius head coach. And speaking of geniuses, the fact that Sean Payton was able to get Bo Nix to do anything, I think is just absolutely amazing at this point. The Steelers aren't on par with any of these teams. It should be a fun divisional round. And we're going to start with the first game, which is the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos, we know, got the bye last week, so they did not have to play. The only team not in action, the Buffalo Bills, they had their hands full with Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a fun, up-and-coming team. Another team, by the way, head and shoulders above your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll give Lee and Combs all the credit in the world for turning Trevor Lawrence into a legit pocket-passing NFL quarterback. He was tremendous down the stretch. Not quite so much against Buffalo. The turnovers were definitely there, but he came back late in the game to keep Jacksonville hanging around. But in the end, it was the Josh Allen show, and he's the best player left in the playoffs. We've said it time and time again. If Josh Allen doesn't win this year with no Mahomes and no real clear-cut favorite in the AFC, I can't imagine a year that he's going to win, at least in Buffalo. They get the win 27-24. They are the underdogs. They're going to Denver. They're 1.5-point underdogs. This is our first NFL game, Nick.
Uh-oh.
Buffalo at Denver. Who are we taking?
Well, Dave, I looked at Denver, and they have the better coach, and I think they have the better team, and they're at home, and it's a great home field advantage. I don't trust the Bills roster, or the coach, or the defense, or their weapons outside of Cook. And then I said, oh, dummy, they have Josh Allen. I like the Bills.
I do too. I agree. I look at Denver. I look at Sean Payton. Sean Payton is an absolute genius. Now, there are people that don't like him and criticize him for whatever, but it certainly has nothing to do with his coaching ability. The fact that he was able to take and mold Bo Nix, the last, by the way, of the quarterbacks taken in 2024, definitely says something about what he brings to the table. Denver has a great defense. I agree with that too. But in the end, this has to be the year that Josh Allen wins. I'm not going to bet against Josh Allen. I'm not going to bet against him however far Buffalo makes it, because I think deep down he knows as well. This is sort of paving the way for him to get there and potentially win his Super Bowl. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills in this one. The late game on Saturday, the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Honestly, I don't know how the 49ers beat the Eagles. I just don't know. There's something wrong with that Philadelphia team. I know the fan base hates Nick Sirianni. I can't imagine it just starts and stops there. The offense hasn't looked good. Even when they put up numbers, like Barkley had over 100 yards rushing but didn't score, something just goes wrong. And maybe it does say something about defense in the NFL. Maybe all of those bargain basement guys the Eagles brought in and won a Super Bowl with and then let go to other places, maybe they're a little more important than we give them credit. When you look at the 49ers, Brock Purdy, not the greatest of games until the end. He sort of figured it out in the fourth quarter. Christian McCaffrey, I think he's player of the year. I don't think he's MVP, but they have that offensive player of the year thing. Christian McCaffrey is the offensive player of the year in the NFL. The 49ers have had nothing else but him for most of the year. Now George Kittle tore his ACL, so you don't have him. They talked maybe Fred Warner is going to come back and play. It was just announced he is out, but he is progressing. So if they win this week, you might see him around for next week. The 49ers are going to be a tough out, even with all the injuries. Look at the guys they haven't had. Ayuk hasn't played all year. Bosa's been hurt for most of the year. They traded away Debo, but yet here they still are. Seattle had the bye in the NFC. Jackson Smith and Jigba, one of the most intriguing players in football. I know Nick loves him, but Sam Darnold is still there at the helm of Seattle. Is it enough? Darnold failed miserably last year in the playoffs with Minnesota after a really good regular season. Can he turn the page this year against San Fran?
The Niners are so beat up, and McCaffrey is great, and Purdy seems to play well in the playoffs. Shanahan's a genius. I would love for the Steelers to get their version, but they don't make many of those. Seahawks, yeah, I like Kubiak to run their offense. JSN looks like Rice. Darnold, he's a winner, 14 wins back-to-back years with 2 different franchises. I think Seattle wins, but it's a rivalry game. The Niners are too beat up, so the line's 7.5. Give me the Niners, but I think the Seahawks win.
I spent probably 5 minutes longer than I should have talking about all the great stuff the San Francisco 49ers have done this year, which of course means I'm going to pick Seattle in this game with that 7.5 point spread. Eventually you're just going to run out of guys. I just don't see how they can make this competitive. I'm taking Seattle. The early game on Sunday, the Houston Texans, fresh off the blowout win against the Pittsburgh Steelers, travel to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. And there was a time where I think early in this game, there was a little bit of nervousness, no score after that first quarter, 6-3 advantage at halftime. But I can tell you this, in the second half, the New England Patriots dominated the Chargers, and it was their defense that did it. Now, I realize the Chargers are on their 4th and 5th offensive linemen in some positions, but Justin Herbert never had a chance. I don't think New England's going to win because of their defense. They're going to have to win because of their offense. And we saw what Houston did to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love it. They're aggressive. No one goes backward. They all move forward. They challenge. So what I say, bring it. Challenge Drake May. put it up in his face because he will dunk it over your head every single time. Ooh. I'm taking the Patriots in this one with the 3.5.
Drake May had a great year, and I'd love the Steelers to get their version of Josh McDaniels. Again, not many of them out there. They pivoted. Mayo and Van Pelt, no. Vrabel and McDaniels, yes. And look at May. And the weapons aren't great. Diggs is older. Henry caught the only touchdown, the tight end. How are they winning? Texans, look, C.J. Stroud didn't look great, fumble issues, but I think their defense is so good, and I think their offense will do just enough. New England's a year away, Dave. I think Houston wins this game outright.
And if Houston wins this game, they might be paving their way right to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I have to pick New. I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
But I'm really nervous about this one.
It's going to be a great weekend. Great game.
Couple of intriguing games last week. The Chicago Bears down 20 with 10 minutes left, find a way to come back and win 31-27 over the Green Bay Packers. Another expensive defense there that doesn't live up to the billing for it. Caleb Williams, 2 touchdowns, looking like maybe he could be the star the Bears are hoping for. Ben Johnson's done a great job with Chicago. They outlast Green Bay. And then the Rams almost lose to maybe the worst team to ever make the NFL playoffs. I like this Carolina team. I see they picked up the option of Bryce Young. I'm surprised by that. I don't know if he's the answer there, but a couple touchdowns to Coker, Chuba Hubbard back in the mix, couple touchdowns there. They hung in with this vaunted Rams defense. So with all that being said, of course, I'm going to take the Rams in this game. They're favored by 3.5. I think the Bears hit the wall this week.
Yes, they're on a storybook run, Dave, and I love watching Caleb Williams and Dunze and all the connection he has with Loveland's great. Ben Johnson, love the Steelers to get their version of him. But on the Rams side, Stafford, Puka, that's why they win along with McVay, with all due respect to Shula on the defensive side. This game is going to be very cold. That favors the Bears. It's 3.5. Out for fun, I'll take the Bears, but I think the Rams win it by a field goal.
Should be a great weekend of football. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then the College Football National Championship on Monday. Hopefully everyone has a day off on Monday. Get that extra long weekend in. Get settled, get ready. Might be some snow over the weekend. Get ready for some football. That is all the time we have for this week's edition of The Sports Voice. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Now, you don't have to travel too far for medical marijuana products. Go to Local Leaf in Scottsdale for a wide variety of locally grown and locally sourced products, plus your questions answered on medical marijuana, qualifying medical conditions, or how to register for your medical card. Local Leaf by PHG off Route 119 in Scottsdale, 412-417-4964. Online at localleafpa.com. Local Leaf, your medical marijuana dispensary with locally grown and locally sourced products in Scottsdale.
Your local station, 590 and 101.1 WMBS Uniontown. Good evening. That wraps up the Sports Voice. For those of you wondering, we'll get to the NBA and WNBA update next week. Don't worry. And, of course, the Olympic update's coming up in a few weeks. I'll give you a full rundown of figure skating starting next month. This is your local station, now 6 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump has hosted Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado for lunch.
I presented the President of the United States the Nobel Peace Prize.
More from CBS's Weijia Zhang at the White House.
This is an award that he has long wanted. Even before he learned anything about what happened during this meeting, the Nobel Peace Center sent out a post on social media to say that the medal can change owners, but the title of a Nobel Peace Prize laureate cannot.
President Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, allowing him to deploy troops as protests against immigration and customs enforcement persist in Minneapolis. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
It provides the president with extraordinary power, and frankly, we don't have a lot of precedent to indicate that there are significant checks either from Congress or the judicial branch to second guess the president on his decision that, yes, we do need the Insurrection Act.
The president continues his efforts to take over Greenland. CBS's Linda Kenyon has the latest.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says a Washington meeting with foreign ministers from Greenland and Denmark was productive and a good start.
The two sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland.
But Secretary Leavitt says President Trump is not changing his mind.
He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
FIFA says it has received more than 500 million ticket requests for this year's World Cup.
This is absolutely unbelievable.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino says they received ticket requests from 211 countries.
This shows definitely that the World Cup, which is coming up, will be the greatest sporting and social event in the history of mankind.
FIFA will notify people about their ticket applications next month. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Actor Timothy Busfield is ordered held without bond in New Mexico in a child sex abuse case pending a detention hearing next Tuesday. Busfield turned himself in earlier this week on an arrest warrant and criminal complaint from Albuquerque police that accused him of inappropriately touching a minor while on the set of the TV series The Cleaning Lady. District Attorney Sam Bregman.
Each count of criminal sexual contact carries up to 6 years of incarceration. In child abuse, carries up to 3 years.
Busfield has denied all charges against him. Stocks steadied on Wall Street today, with all three indexes closing up. Also helping to calm the market were oil prices, which eased sharply on hopes for calming tensions in Iran. This is CBS News.
I'm Major Garrett. Follow and listen to The Takeout on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Talk about a vacation that's far, far away. CBS's Chris Mavridi says you could book an out-of-this-world getaway soon.
No dates yet, but you can plunk down a deposit of between $250,000 and $1 million to secure a spot in the first space hotel. Sounds crazy, but the company called Grew Space projects it could be built in the next 6 years. They say the first rooms will be inflatable and sleep 4 guests. Eventually, they say they want to replace it with something made out of lunar bricks and modeled after the fancy San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts. Chris Mavridi, CBS News.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers has proposed creating a new agency with $2.5 billion to boost production of rare earths and other critical minerals. This comes as the Trump administration takes aggressive steps to reduce reliance on China, which dominates the market for these materials. The Pentagon has spent nearly $5 billion